Welcome to the Fulfilling the Mission podcast. I'm Natalia Hepworth for BYU-Idaho Radio. On this podcast, we're exploring how faculty and administration are helping students become disciples of Jesus Christ in their homes, in the church, and in their respective communities, and also in our community at BYU-Idaho. Today, I'd like to welcome Shane Wasden, who's the chair of the Department of Business Management. And I'd also like to welcome Abby Seabel, and she is a senior and a business management major. So welcome. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Well, let's just get started. Shane, you've been on this campus for almost 10 years. How's it been?
Working here at BYU-Idaho, it's the best of all three worlds in my life. You get to be involved with business, you get to be involved with students and the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I love the mission and the purpose of building disciples. So being here today on this podcast seemed like a natural fit because that's what we do.
That's what we do. Exactly. Well, how do you feel like the mission of BYU-Idaho has helped you as a student?
I think that's a great question. I think just the fact that you can feel like Christ-like love from both the faculty and the students around you, and not just love, but you can just tell that everybody in this environment is doing the same thing. We're all here to grow, and we're all here to learn and strive to become a little bit more like Christ.
Absolutely. Well, one thing that we've talked about on a couple of these podcast episodes is applying discipleship in all areas of our life. And I think that sometimes we get a little sideways with that concept as members of the church. We only think that we can apply discipleship in church settings. So how are you teaching your students to apply discipleship in every area of their life?
Ooh, that one is a good one. As I think about me personally, kind of on a bigger picture, in the business management department, we really think a lot about discipleship and leadership because as part of our program vision statement, if you will, about building disciple leaders to help them innovate and find extraordinary way. They're just ordinary people finding extraordinary solutions. Thinking about President Hinckley's quote, as well as thinking about the Steady Upward course about President Irene. I'm misquoting this, but hey, I hope someday to find an employer and I meet them and they'll say, where does this person come from? They innovate. The budget doesn't go up. People tend to gather around them. I'll say, come with me to Rexburg. That's kind of what I'm hoping to, as I interact with and build students and teach students in the classroom. And some of those ways are with assignments. A lot of those ways are with group activities. But I think most of it comes just from one-on-one interactions in the classroom through, as well as in the office.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think absolutely. The first thing that came to my mind when you asked that was actually day one in Brother Wasden's class, both this semester, and I took a class from him maybe 2 or 3 years ago. But he said the same thing, and it stuck out to me both times, that one of the students had asked what was the main takeaway that we should get from this class, or like what's the one thing you want us to learn coming away from this. And both times he said that the goal of this class, or his goal at least, is to help us become better disciples of Jesus Christ.
That's wonderful. And I think that's a message that all the professors here try to leave with their students, but sometimes it doesn't always sink in, does it? We're just so worried about the things that we have to do, the work that we have to get done.
Getting through our content, this exam, this quiz, these assignments. I forgot about that quite. Yeah, I've done that particularly this semester because he was expecting, it's a business case study class, and he was expecting income statements, marketing, operations, balance sheets. No, becoming a disciple of Christ.
Absolutely. So how have you seen that concept help your students as they've grown in their discipleship by taking your classes?
Particularly, we see it quite frequently in the integrated business core, the IBC, where these students are operating companies and they're selling stuff or services. And I tell them it's more than hot dogs. It's more than pizza pockets or jewelry or recycled billboard waterproof bags or matching father and son swim trunks. All these different concepts. IBC is the pressure cooker to create discipleship so that you're working with someone, there's real customers, real student colleagues, and they don't show up to their shift. How are you going to act like a disciple of Christ when your time is just as invaluable as their time? How do you respond? Do you yell at them? Do you just quit and walk away? So I think discipleship, teaching that, we provide opportunities for students to look inward and respond accordingly. And sometimes that looks different with different subject matter and different times. Other ways, we just had one the other day. We were talking about AI. And there were a lot of not a lot, maybe 5 or 6 assignments that got flagged using AI. And we actually recommend they use AI, but they have to use it ethically. And what does that look like? And so we were talking with a group of students. We were telling the class, and afterwards a student came up and said, hey, I did the assignment, and then I just had it, check for this and this and this, but I did the work, and here's what I did and how I did it. And I said to this student, I said, I'm so happy that one, you used AI ethically and morally and with integrity, but even more happy that without us calling you out, you came forward and because your integrity was, you wondered if you had done something wrong. So for me, and I let him know, like, way to go, like, good job today.
Absolutely. Way to apply your discipleship.
Yes.
It's great. That's a wonderful story. Well, I love that you brought up IBC. You've had experiences with IBC. Do you want to touch on that a little bit? Tell us what your company was and what it was like.
Of course. I did IBC a little over a year ago. It was last spring. And my company, my sensei was Brother Pope.
Sensei's?
Yeah, sensei. He's like the professor over our company. He was awesome. And our company was called 1793. We sold coin rings, coin accessories, really. We grew our product offering towards the end. But 1793 was the first year coins were minted, just for reference. But I think, just bouncing off of what he said, I think, yes, IBC taught me how to create a product, how to sell a product, how to market a product, how to handle the financials behind a business. But I think more than that, it taught me how to talk to people, how to be on a team, and a team that's probably bigger than is necessary for a small business in the start. But it definitely helped me learn how to work through the challenges that come with not just operating a business, but life in general.
Absolutely. About building relationships. It's one of the number one things in a business, almost more than your product. You have to build those relationships with your clientele, with your customers, with your colleagues. How are you teaching your students to build relationships?
One of the, the philosophies or the teaching philosophies or pedagogy that's used in the business management department is experiential learning. So the other one is case study. So both experiential learning and case study require the students to interact with each other like almost every class. Well, not almost, like they do. And so as those, and I tell them, and I maybe, you might remember this, but I tell them, no matter how awesome this class is or how horrid this class is, hopefully 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years down the road, you've learned a lesson that will save you from getting fired, or that'll help you to be a better employee or a better supervisor, or a better Relief Society president, a better bishop, elders quorum president, primary president, whatever you do, mother, father, because this little class will just be in your rearview mirror 3, 4, 5 years from now. But hopefully the principles you're learning around discipleship and around relationships and around interacting with people, that it will bless you way more than the content of the class.
Yeah, interesting. I like that. So, tell me about your experience as a business owner for Western Fence.
Way back in the day,
Yeah, how has that helped you here with your experience at BYU Idaho, bringing that real world experience into the classroom?
that was the thing that I love, and I'm more focused in small business management, but many of our faculty, and you've had them, like they they come from cancer diagnostics, IT company, Microsoft, Deloitte, Colgate, uh, corporate law. I could just go Arbinger, Franklin Covey. They come to the classroom with industry experience, and for me, that is much. Not only they have the academic merit badge, if you will,
For sure.
but they have that industry experience. So for mine, then I teach entrepreneurship and small business management, and so just being able to say, hey, these are the theories, the philosophies, the principles, and this is what I saw in business, and we sold that company, but I still do a couple other things on the side just because I love doing business in the nonprofit area and some real estate investments, but it keeps me engaged as a teacher, but also engaged in like the business and what's changing and what's current.
Yeah, absolutely. You're doing the thing,
Doing the thing
not just teaching the.
like a musician, like they practice, right? Their piano, they're singing, we're practicing and doing business, and maybe that's a little bit like IBC. You're doing it. Yeah.
Well, you've taken your experience here and you've started your own business doing cakes and the sweet treats. Tell us what it's called.
Yeah. So it's called How Sweet It Is. It's just out of my apartment, actually. I just do cakes, cupcakes, cookies, just a bunch of custom treats for all sorts of events, weddings, parties, just local stuff going on.
That's pretty amazing.
It's got a pretty cool Instagram page, like excellent media, and the shots. Yes. How sweet it is.
Yes, How Sweet It Is by Abby.
So, how have your lessons here helped you start your own business? I think that's really impressive for someone who hasn't even graduated yet.
Thank you. Yeah, I think so. I actually started it quite a long time ago. I was back in high school, but um, I definitely saw like a big switch change in my business after taking IVC, especially, and then after taking actually Intro to Entrepreneurship. After that class as well, there was lots of like milestones in my college experience that have like completely turned around the way that my business was operating, the way that I was running things, the way that I was marketing my business. Um, but it's been pretty cool to see the way that getting involved in the community as well, of just students that I've worked with in IBC, students I've had classes with, just the way that it's grown. It's been pretty exciting.
That is exciting.
Well,
I think sometimes people might just think you can just start up a business out of air pretty much and just go for it and air and hard work and there it is. But how is the department adding structure to the way that people are running their business?
In the department, with business management, it has obviously our core classes that are required, but then it also allows for enough elective classes for a student to pair something with that. So if somebody wanted to go open up a yoga studio, they could go take all these core classes and then take some exercise phys classes, or the photography mixed with the business, or so it allows from a structural point, curriculum based, it allows for that. But then, like, we get to the nitty gritty. We do have some classes that handhold students through startup phase to implementation, small business creations taught by Brother Boyce, who's done tech startups and launching new ventures. And then there's the business model canvas that helps students walk through that. So there's many and a lot of other classes that. And there's, over in the marketing department, there's marketing is it marketing 250? Web creations, helps with online and SEO.
So you have two main degrees that you offer, business management and applied business management. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, tell us what the difference between those two are.
The main differences, one of them is based and designed for our campus students, and the other one is based and designed for our online students. So maybe many people probably might not know about the business management department. The business management degree is here on campus. The applied business management degree is for right now. We have about 14,000 students from about 190 countries in the applied business management degree. It's one of the 5 degree offerings that Pathway offers.
Amazing.
So as students, if they successfully complete Pathway Connect, they then have to select a degree, and the applied business management degree is one of them that they select, and they can get 3 certificates to get to a bachelor's degree. And recently they just announced that it'd be a 90 credit degree. So the President Ashton announced, and one of those things, one of those certificates is an entrepreneur certificate. And that also, because we had our largest growing areas in Africa for online students, our growth. Developing countries, but Africa has grown year over year, 50 to 100%. And so we were finding, this is a couple years ago, there's not as many jobs when they graduated. So we thought, the jobs aren't there, but we better make sure our entrepreneur curriculum is on spot, on point, teaching them how to start a business.
Make their own job.
Yep, because they're entrepreneurs of necessity. They're not entrepreneurs of choice. They might be entrepreneurs of necessity. And so that's been fun to watch them. And we help. They can do it from a smartphone. It's an introductory certificate, and it's been pretty cool to see and feel some of their interactions and their successes.
That's amazing. Why has it been so popular in the Africa region?
Well, there are probably a lot of reasons, but probably one of them being they're looking for good, solid education at a very affordable rate. It's also because the church is growing in Africa, maybe one of the fastest growing places in the entire earth. And it's also it's just a great blessing and a great missionary tool as well.
I love that. Good. Well, Abby, I have a question for you. How would you say that your professors have prepared you as a disciple outside of BYU-Idaho?
I can't wait to hear this.
It's actually just thinking about this from the past week, just with graduating soon, and I was thinking back on my time at BYU-I, and I could name drop which professors have done this, but there have been so many of them that it's almost pointless here. But for example, one, Brother Wasden, I had him years ago, and then I run into him, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago, and he stopped me and caught up with me and was like, "Hey, how's it going?" Asked me about my life, all the things that he remembered from way back when. And I think just realizing that, it's not necessarily about making money. It's not about being quote unquote successful in life, but truly building relationships with the people around you, and treating others the way that Christ would. I think that's, at least personally, I think my biggest takeaway from attending BYU-I.
Great. Well, one thing that I read about you on Write My Professor was that you love your students. Yes. They're very complimentary of the big love that you have for your students. So how has that love for the students helped you fulfill the mission here at BYU-Idaho?
Honestly, I know it, and I'm not anything. I'm not unique in this statement. That's why I teach at BYU-Idaho. I love students. I love influencing. I sense, the purpose and the mission, and they're There's always more money to be made. You help students get jobs, you help teach them, and then they come back and and you're getting data on what your students are making, and they're making 2 or 3 times more than you. But that's not why we do what we do. Like, we came to BYU-Idaho and to build disciple leaders, and being a builder of people is way, way, way more fulfilling than being a builder of a business or a builder of a building. Like, I build people. I build disciples.
Powerful statement. Well, thank you so much for joining me today on the Fulfilling the Mission podcast, Abby Seabel and Shane Wasden. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.